Day 1. It hasn't been long since the outbreak began. It was originally simple. A few bad cases in Africa and Asia, but then it seemed to spread into Europe very quickly. Being a new scientist, I am to record the examinations and morgue reports of the victims who arrive and to discover what this virus might be. Since I was just invited to Europe, they instantly quarantined me and are keeping me in this non-contaminated environment. The walls are a sterile white, and the only exit I have is the door, which of course is locked to prevent spreads into the work zone. They'll be calling me out soon to do some recording, and I'll try to write down some things in my journal as well, though it may never see the light of day since all of this is so hush-hush. Day 2. God, this is horrible. The first thing I had to do when they made us leave the room was see the first stage of whatever they're calling this new sickness. The patients were crowded in a gigantic cell. It smelled like vomit and blood. They brought 7 other scientists as well. 5 had to leave because of how graphic it got near the 3rd stage, but I'll get to that later. Already, though, I remember seeing all of those faces behind the windows. They were sunken in, some were bloody and missing chunks of flesh. Some were crying in the corner and hitting their heads on the wall. The lead man who was walking us through gave us the symptoms of the 1st stage, since so far there was no way to prevent it. The symptoms ranged from mild paranoia to blood lesions. Many of the people in the cell pushed against the windows and cried to be let out. But the only thing they succeeded in doing was smearing their own blood and mucus on the glass. The 2nd stage symptoms were just like many other diseases, meaning that the symptoms that were already prominent get worse. The 2nd holding cell had a lot less people, but the cell itself wasn't lit up like the one before. It was very dimmed. Not completely dark, but dim. And when the lead decided to turn the lights up, I heard the howling from inside as the afflicted people began banging on the glass and the walls, trying to break them down. It seemed as if they were trying to escape the light rather than their imprisonment. At the 2nd stage, their eyes would become light sensitive, while pigment would start to peel away. Their eyes would become a milky color, and their hair began falling out, or rather, they would rip it out. Agonizing pain and insanity became common, while blood lesions and rotting tissue began to flourish across the skin. We could only just get to the 3rd stage before we instantly had to leave, since too many scientists had quit and fled back to their rooms. The 3rd seemed to be on a different level, and most security forces termed the cell the 1st level of hell. Though I only got a glance, I will never forget the horrid figures I saw in the windows as long as I live. The room was mostly dark, but just bearable, while inside lie people who were almost akin to corpses. Some were missing jaws and fingers, while their eyes were either clawed out or rotting in the sockets. As if they had sensed my presence, they cried out, no longer wishing for freedom, but to be alone in their pain. The people in the 3rd cell were scattered about, not touching one another, not even near one another. Finally, the breaking point came when 2 bumped into each other and began to rip each other to shreds. A skinny female, who was missing one eye and 2 fingers on her right hand, bumped into a burly man whose skin was nearly all deteriorated and his eyes were torn out. When the female bumped into him, he promptly turned his bleeding sockets to her and took a bite out of her face. The female screamed, and the others in the cell began to rip others apart, as if their skin was nothing but paper. Blood splattered on the glass as well as other fluids. But it was a sickly, blackened color that squirmed. The small female had most of her skin ripped off and both arms pulled from their sockets. The arms were then being eaten by other victims of the disease. More tearing and vomiting, and we were soon removed from the place of death and decay. I fear for my sanity, seeing all of these people becoming animals and tearing at each other like monsters. I'm afraid to sleep now. I'm dreading having to go through more cases. Day 2, nighttime. I can't sleep. I woke up from a nightmare I won't soon forget. It's too horrifying. It began with me running in a dark hallway while blank eyes stared at me. I tried to get away, but something would hit me and I'd fall over. It was the skinny female. She would then rip my stomach open and eat my organs. And then she'd rip me apart more and more until others came over and began to claw at my eyes and tear open my throat. I wake up screaming, but of course, I was just in the dark room while the faint light shone outside. I'm sitting against the cold door now, trying to listen outside. Guards brought up the horror in hell, the skinny female's death causing a feeding frenzy. I couldn't help but cry remembering that scene. They also talked about the death toll and how it began to spread to America. Oh God, no. I pray my parents would be all right. Living in Maine had some advantages at least, right? It couldn't get to them. No way, right? I really hope this will end soon. I don't want more of the Stage 3 events happening. Supposedly, there were 5 stages of horror, agony, and despair. I can't imagine anything worse than what I've already seen. I'm gonna go now and try to get some more sleep. If someone finds this, please, please don't let this disease win. Good night. Day 3. I'm starting to lose track of time since they only announce wake up and rest time. I couldn't get any extra sleep last night because every time I tried, I woke up from the same dream. When I tried to open the door, there was a voice telling me to stay inside. I asked why, and they told me about a subject escaping containment because he was due for a movement to the 4th stage cell. I had to wait until he was dealt with to leave my sterile room. I won't have much to do, so I'm writing now. It feels like an eternity since there was any update, and all I hear every now and then is a small clinking of metal against metal. I'm hoping something will come up soon so I can write it down. I know today I'll go to the 4th and 5th cells, so I've got to steel myself up. But I keep remembering what happened in the 3rd stage, how savage it all was, and how if one had gotten out, what would happen if it infected someone? Oh God, it just got really dark. The last update I heard was that we weren't supposed to leave our rooms, and we were supposed to stay away from the doors. It couldn't be anything serious, right? I mean, the 3rd stages were supposed to be light sensitive, so it just has to be in case. But then why wouldn't they do that in the first place? Could it have gotten to the generators? Could it have killed the guards? That's impossible. All the guards are armed to the teeth and we all have to wear sterile clothing. There's no way one patient could cause the lights to go out like that. I'm gonna leave it here. I hope I can get out soon. It's starting to get really scary. God, please, no. There's banging on my door. It's here. Oh God, I know it's here. It's coming for me. It's gonna kill me. Please, no. It's gonna get in here and rip me apart. Please, no. Day. Who the hell knows? I don't remember when this all started, but it will end soon. I haven't written for a long time. I don't think there's any reason to. I can't really see what I'm writing anyway, because the light is so dim. Last time I slept, I heard something down the hall, like the banging on my door and a scream. I'm starving, and I put my bed against the door, and I started eating paper from the books I brought with me. If I look out the small window to the outside, I just see that same white like my cell. I'm afraid I'm the only one left alive, just because I've been quiet and holed myself up in my room. Every time I try to sleep, my dreams get worse. Sometimes I wake up to the sounds in the darkness and that clinking metal. I know now that I won't make it out, and I'm running out of ink to write. I don't think anyone will find this, but I hope so, and maybe I'll survive till then. As long as the ink does. Day, help me, please. I'm starting to bleed, and I'm using it to write. I have to write small. Uses less blood. The door's open. I'm infected. They don't hurt each other. We suffer together. All in dark, all alone. I try not to cry. It hurts, but it gives me more ink. I'm not thirsty or hungry anymore. I vomit constantly, and everything smells bad. My eyes start to hurt. I hope that'll end. Day, it's over. Fingers rotting, book hard to hold, running out of blood, trying to steal from others, color starting to turn black again, looks like real ink. Killed person to get blood, gross, but flesh not so bad. Don't vomit it up like everything else. I know. I'm third now. Fifths live in the basement. They hate the light. Ripped out my left eye. Hurt. Right eye is good eye, since it still works. I know it's over. No, I'll become fourth soon. Starting to look like them. Head rotting. Blood everywhere. Teeth missing. Skinning down. Bones break easily. Need to survive. Maybe right soon. Soon. Maybe not.
Day and over. Fifth. Light hurts. Can't see. Right eye hurt. Leg gone. Blood on pages. Miss old days. Writing words full. Everything hurts. Rotting, crying, pain. Scratch places till blood comes. Always screaming. Blood ink hard to get. Flesh low. Don't need. Not hungry. Zombies? No. Not zombies. Good night. Dreams are bad. No matter. Last. Goodbye. No more. Go to sleep now. Sleep forever. No pain. More sleep. Night, night.
Hi, 207. It's Miss Viola Swamp. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Go check out my Facebook page and leave suggestions for stories you want to hear. I hope to see you in class next time.